Good morning, everyone. I hope we're all doing well. Thank you for your flexibility in fitting this meeting in. It is March 21. That's exciting. And welcome to the winding down numbers of MVT. Today we have three bills on our agenda. HB 332, HB 530, and HB 573. So, Patrick, will you start us off with HB 332, Delegate Addison's bill? Patrick, you're on mute. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. This bill is the bill that talks about improper registration, basically Maryland residents registering their vehicles in Virginia. There's also a couple other states apparently where they can do that. And it's been amended to be a report. It's requiring a report from NVA, which is also what the Senate did in the budget, although I think our report's a little bit more detailed. Requiring them to submit a report that includes now the legal basis for requiring Maryland residents to title and register their vehicles in Maryland. What enables Maryland residents to improperly title their vehicles in Virginia. And then we have a listing of other states that allow this, an analysis of the incentives that might push somebody to register their car in Virginia, including one that's going away and an analysis of how that works. That'll be June or July 1st. I'm not sure which. And then statistics on how many vehicles are improperly registered and the trends in that direction, in that area. Description of any enforcement actions that have been taken and their effectiveness, and the number of charges that have been brought, description of the harms that are caused by this, and an analysis of the insurance factors involved in this. How many, as a result of this, how many uninsured and underinsured vehicles do we have on the road? What the effect on the rates, and then the comparison with neighbor states. So this is asking for a report. Basically, the underlying bill, I don't think would really have done anything, because how do we know? How do we know what Virginia plates are legitimate and what are not? You have to have probable cause, and it's very difficult to get without a full investigation, which is what we're asking MVA to tell us. How is that working? How are they doing that?
Great, thank you. So I think, Delegate Guyton asked some really good questions at the hearing yesterday, and it's a real problem. So thank you, Delegate Addison, for bringing it to us, as well as Delegate Naraki also. And it's a statewide problem. So the goal is, before we impose penalties, let's figure out exactly the scope of what's out there, and figure out the best way to move forward. So that's the posture of the bill right now. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, Delegate Davis.
Yes. I guess my first question is, how does Delegate Addison feel about it?
Delegate Addison.
Excuse me. So I was hoping that it would be like a bill for Baltimore City, because we have so many Virginia tags that's in our district, in the 45th district in Baltimore City. And we know that we have so much, it's just an uptick in those tags that's been in Virginia. I mean, from Virginia to Baltimore. And we know that it is, I have like, disappointed. I wanted it to be like a bill.
Delegate Addison, I owe you an apology. And I want to publicly apologize, because I should have come to you to talk to you about how we were viewing your bill. And I am very sorry that I didn't do that. So that is on me, and I take full responsibility, and I am sorry.
If I could.
Yes, please.
So it became very apparent that it's a statewide issue, and that a lot of people have a lot of different ideas about how to handle it, like towing your car just because it's parked in somebody's driveway with the wrong tags. But my question was to Patrick. The study, is it just MVA? Where else are we going to get information from?
It's just MVA. I don't know exactly who might have better information. This is an issue that's squarely in their jurisdiction.
Yeah, well, Delegate Addison might have more information. So I don't know. Is there any way to include citizen information also?
Of course.
Sure, we can include, folks, the floor is open. Who has ideas? And
So
who
one of
else?
I want to raise my hand.
Please, Delegate Addison. Yes.
So one of the things that I have, every city councilman in Baltimore City has written a letter with their concerns about the Virginia Tech. Our former mayor, our community partners, we have letters stating about the crime, about the number of accidents. And when I thought about this bill, it really came from our constituents. Just hearing them in our district talk about all the Virginia tags in our district and in Baltimore City. So it is a huge crime, a huge issue in Baltimore City. I don't know how it plays out in other places, but in Baltimore City, it's a big issue.
Thank you. Do you have a thought on anybody else who should be a part of this study?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Delegate Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I totally can support Delegate Addison's concerns on this one. St. Mary's is different because we have all kinds of out-of-state license plates called the Soldiers Relief Act. However, with the difference between the study and her bill and where we are on the calendar, and the calendar to me is pretty important now because we're down to, a couple of weeks. Since I'm new to this, and I think Delegate Addison's new to it too, what are our options at this particular point in time? I don't want anything just to die for the sake of, we can't agree, but I can totally respect her position and want to help her the best that we can.
Absolutely. Patrick, you want to answer that? Or you want me to?
I don't think there's, obviously the calendar is the calendar, but the bill as written just won't solve anything. That's kind of the point. And we're trying to, with the amendments, we're trying to get a handle on this.
Thank you. Delegate Guyton.
I want to thank you, Delegate Addison, for bringing the bill, because what I'm hearing from you is the same thing that we're hearing in Baltimore County. So it really is an issue that's happening everywhere. I think the concern is whether the enforcement mechanisms that are in place now versus the enforcement mechanisms that are in the bill are really that much different, and how we would get to the root of which license tags are legal and which are not. So I know for me, that's what's giving me pause, but I can think of a lot of situations where this could be, someone could be towed or fined illegally, and then the state is responsible for that. I do think it's a really good bill. And I also think that if you can look at it, if it helps at all, as a situation where you're able to help more than just Baltimore City with this bill, you can actually solve a statewide problem, which I think is remarkable. So I hope that gives you a little solace, but it's really it feels like it's not getting to the root of the problem as quickly as you would like, but it really could give us some great solutions that will actually solve it. So I do support this new version, and I hope we can move forward with it.
Thank you. Delegate Ziegler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just wondering if there's any possibility of coordinating with Virginia on this. I feel like Virginia could require something like, a utility bill at a Virginia address or what have you, to register a car. And I don't know if there's a comparable problem in other states. I doubt it, but it seems like something that would take some interstate cooperation.
So Virginia is actually changing their law. Patrick, you want to speak a little bit more to that?
Yes, because that's a very important part of this. I don't think Virginia has any incentive to change their law to no longer register Maryland. They're getting revenue off of this, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But they did change their law because one of the big incentives, and that's what we've written into one of the reports, is that you don't have to get very much insurance in Virginia. You can basically sign off for like $500 and save a couple thousand. And that law is what I think I mentioned earlier. That is what's been repealed. And you're going to have to get a much more robust insurance. And one of the goals of this study is to see how that affects this problem here. It may help go a long way to solving it. I don't know. But that's, again, I think I said it's June or July that becomes effective, which will be in the middle of this reporting period. So maybe we'll get some information out of that.
Thank you. Delegate Healy?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions about the scope of the study and especially in light of all this discussion, because I think I really want to thank Delegate Addison for bringing this to our attention and putting a light on it. And I think the report will put a brighter light on it as a statewide issue, which I think it really is. It's been probably for many years and we weren't paying attention to it. So I truly am grateful for that. So I was thinking that if the study is, that's a question, if the study would also look at making recommendations for penalties that would be effective, since the concern is that the penalties we're putting in are not quite what would be workable.
That's a good suggestion. Thank you, Delegate Healy. Patrick, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think there's any problem with putting that into the report.
And if I could just like expand on it, one more thing. In addition to that, I agree that this may be a problem in other states. I've heard that in the testimony we heard yesterday. So they were talking about other states where this is starting to happen as well. And I think about maybe one of the recommendations they might look at is whether there is a way to do some kind of interstate compact with several of the states nearby at least, so that but I'm not sure what that would be. So I think the study would be something that, or the report could look at options for how to get other states to, because there must be something that we could do in the world of car registration. And so that's just another suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Delegate Davis, can I put you back on the hot seat? You asked a really good question about others being involved. Do you have any other suggestions?
Maybe we could help Jackie out, with Delegate Addison out, and point to Baltimore City as maybe someone and give them some input. I don't know. That would really give Jackie a win, that somehow they could work with Baltimore City. And then I'd go 2 steps further and say every county who has a bill in, that they be part of the study.
I think we only have Baltimore City and Baltimore County, though we've heard concerns across the state.
Yes, but and Baltimore City really has that problem and took the initiative to put everyone together and bring them to this point. So
absolutely,
that would be my suggestion.
Right, Patrick?
I've got nothing to add. I mean, all of that's feasible.
Okay. So I don't want to delay this. So we can do one of 2 things. We can hold off. We are voting today in full committee. So we can hold off for the 2 additions that we've talked about today. Or we can vote on it in concept. And then folks will have a chance to see it. Patrick, can you get it done for the full voting list today?
That's the goal, yes.
Okay. So what is the will of the committee? Jackie, how would you like to move forward? I'm sorry, Delegate Addison, how would you like to move forward?
I would like to have this as a Baltimore City bill and whatever we could do to make it that. That's what I would like. We have done studies about this bill.
So I think Delegate Addison, that given that it is a statewide issue, we're moving that to be a statewide study. But I think Delegate Davis's suggestion about having someone from Baltimore City be involved, because it is also very much a Baltimore City issue, and you all brought that to the attention of the subcommittee.
I agree.
You comfortable with that, Delegate Addison?
Yeah.
Okay. Delegate Ziegler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just gonna wonder aloud if it would be possible to use Baltimore City as a kind of study, as an experiment, essentially, to see how it would work. That would give Delegate Addison an opportunity to solve the problem where it is the worst, and also allow us to figure out how to do it better. But that's probably impractical. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thoughts? Delegate Guyton?
Thank you. I think the point of this study for me is that we don't really know the best way to solve the problem. And, I just like having all the information, but I also love Delegate Davis's concept of, let's have, in addition to the statewide problem, a focus on Baltimore City. Perhaps Delegate Addison could think of one person or two people in the Baltimore City public safety organization that she knows that she would recommend to actually be appointed to this study or to work specifically with them. I don't know. It looks like she may not be with us right now, but
Yes, I am. I'm here.
oh, okay. Yeah. So that you can make sure
that
that you have Baltimore City specifically addressed in this study, because obviously that's what you want.
So
Thank you. Go ahead, Delegate Addison.
this bill was on my mayor's priority list. So he knows that it's a problem. Our city council president knows it's a problem. The whole council knows that it's a problem. It was on his priority list.
Okay, so perhaps the office of the mayor or the mayor or his designee? I'm seeing some nodding.
Well, I was thinking that we just worded that, they would do the report in consultation with Baltimore City and other stakeholders.
Okay. That is more in keeping with our language. Delegate Davis?
Yeah, I really don't want to see this die, so I'd like to move it with Patrick's amendment.
There's a motion on the amendments. Second. Any further discussion on the amendments as we've discussed now? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and the bill is amended.
Move favorable.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the bill as amended, say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you all. And thank you, Patrick, for getting this all set for us later today. We appreciate that. Okay, why don't we move a little bit out of order and go to, actually, no, we'll stay in order. HB 530, Maryland Trails Advisory Committee and Maryland Trails Office. I'll say at the top that my hope is for us to work on this maybe move it forward, but there's still some question about the fiscal note. So we'll have to see what happens with this. That said, Patrick, will you talk to us about the bill, please?
Okay, well, this is the Maryland Trails Advisory Committee and Office of Trails. It does have an amendment that narrows down the bureaucracy a little bit in the bill and puts it under existing Director of Bicycle and Pedestrian Access. And with the amendments, it basically has the same responsibilities for the director to develop and maintain a Maryland Trails Plan, try to integrate the trails, trying to connect the trails statewide, and then coordinate with a bunch of state and local agencies, identify and secure grants, and there is apparently some federal money out there for this type of thing. Grants to develop, construct, maintain, manage, and promote Maryland Trails Network, and the like. And like I said, it does narrow down the bureaucracy. It doesn't create the new committee or the new Office of Trails. It puts the responsibilities under the existing bike ped director. And as the chair said, the MDOT estimates, it does cut down the fiscal note, but it's still at about 500,000 and a pin or two that would be necessary. So we would have to, if it was the will of the subcommittee to vote this to the full committee, we would in between have to send it down to appropriations. So it would not be on the voting list today, unlike the previous bill.
Yeah, and I've got to talk to the chair and the vice chair about it. Delegate Morgan.
And I did speak with
Madam
the vice
Chair.
chair last night about this and gave her a copy.
Got it. Thank you.
So we had a rousing conversation yesterday for around 3 hours in the chamber on the BRFA and all the 1.3 billion. So my question really becomes, when we look at this thing, another 500,000 was down from 700,000. The fiscal note is just too hard to swallow. My opinion. That's my 2 cents worth.
I don't disagree. I was not expecting it to be that. I thought it would be a heck of a lot lower. I wouldn't have brought it to the subcommittee knowing it was so, and Patrick let me know, so I thought it was worth bringing it to the subcommittee to have the discussion on the bill. So did someone else just have their hand up? Delegate Healy? Yes, Delegate Healy.
Yes, thank you so much. Just a question. I'm not sure this is viable for this kind of a piece of legislation, but maybe the possibility of phasing it in over a number of years so that it doesn't hit very much in any year, that it's not a big bite, especially in these tough fiscal times. But if we could cut it down and have it over a number of years, and I don't know what number that would be, but for the discussion purposes.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. So why don't we do this? If there's any more comment or discussion on this, we'll just hold the bill in light of the fiscal note. But just wanted to get the sense of the committee on the bill. Any other thoughts on the bill? On the substance of it? Okay. All right, well, let's move on to HB 573, Citizens Committee for the Enhancement of Communities Surrounding BWI Marshall.
Okay, this bill increases the number of members of that city, that Citizens Committee, excuse me, for BWI from 11 to 12 members. Instead of basically adds a member from Howard County or recommended by a delegate from Howard County. It's basically in light of redistricting. There was one of the districts up there got moved around a little bit. So to be 12 members instead of 11.
Okay, Delegate Guyton. Delegate Guyton, you're muted.
Thank you. This seems pretty simple, Madam Chair, unless I'm missing something, which is possible. I am happy to move this bill.
Thank you. I'll accept that motion once I recognize the two folks that have their hands up. Delegate Ziegler.
I was just going to say, I think it's incumbent on me to move favorable.
Thank you. Delegate Jacobs.
My only question, and I don't know that it means anything, is down with an additional member, and I don't have a problem with the concept of the bill at all, is that having an even number a problem as far as voting goes or not?
Delegate Jacobs is right that we do usually try to have an odd number, but sometimes it just comes out to even.
Yeah, I mean, that's my only question, and I'm not at all against the bill, what it's trying to do. I just was bringing up that issue of the even number versus odd number.
Very fair point.
There's no law against it, of course, but again, Delegate Jacobs is right. Just for tie-breaking purposes, we generally try to make it an odd number, but there's no rule against it.
Yeah.
Well, and I imagine if they have a problem, they'll be back next year. Delegate Healy, did you have something to add?
I was going to say, especially this is a citizens advisory committee, and if it's that close and the community is that divided, it's probably not going to go anywhere anyhow. I mean, most of these things people are all up in arms about the same thing, about the noise from the airport and all of those things, the flight paths, and you certainly don't want to see, well, I want it going over your yard and not over my yard kind of thing getting done. So I think that this is not necessarily a harmful amendment at all. I think that it's an advisory committee. They're not going to actually pass laws or, fight things out like sometimes we do.
And Madam Chair, I should mention something. We do have someone from MAA on, I saw, but I forgot to mention that apparently in recent years, some of the flight patterns have changed, and they do more go over Howard County than they used to in the past. That's another reason for this bill.
Yeah, thank you. George, did you want to add anything?
Hello, everyone. So just wanted to mention that this committee, it's really not, so the committee gets allotted a bunch of money where they just dole out, so if there's problems, they need a stopping sign or something like that, they can apply and get that stopping sign that that the airport is that they deem the airport is affecting parts of the community. So it's really not, they're not focusing on the flight paths and stuff like that. That's more of the commission. But this, after redistricting, they were legally, they're inside the noise zone to apply for these grants. So simple as that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I heard a motion earlier, and since there were two of you, I'm going to have one of you move and one of you second. Any further discussion on the bill? Okay, all those in favor of HB 573, raise your hand, say aye. Anybody opposed? Great, HB 573 passes. That is our agenda for today. Stay tuned, folks. I'm not quite sure what's ahead of us, but I will keep you posted to the best of my ability. So thanks.